Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kim Schmidt, the Executive Editor of Farm Equipment Magazine. Welcome to our latest webinar, Digital Transformation of the Service Department in Equipment Dealerships, Why and How, in conjunction with DIS. Today's presenters are John Rossi, the Innovation Manager with DIS, who also previously worked in a dealership, and Udi Naamani, DIS Product Manager. Before they get started with the presentation, just a couple of housekeeping items. On your screen, there's a control panel with a Q&A icon. You can submit questions here anytime during the presentation, and then time permitting, we'll try to answer as many questions as possible following their presentation. And then just a reminder to everyone, the webinar is being recorded in case you want to go back and watch it again later, or share it with anyone else at the dealership, and we will share that link with everyone who's registered to go back and watch again later. All right, we are ready to get started. Thank you again for joining us, and you can take it away, John.
Thank you very much, Kim. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your day to join Udi and myself on our webinar as we talk about digital transformation. So a little bit about myself. As Kim mentioned, I started in the dealership industry, working for a commodity distributor for just under 10 years. And then shortly after that, I started a software company that was acquired by a large OEM in the same space. We were the first text messaging solution for the service industry for the construction and forestry side. And now I'm with DIS as an innovation manager, as Kim said, and I'm very happy to be with DIS. And I look forward to talking to you all about digital transformation as it relates to your dealership. Udi?
And I am Udi Naamani. I come to DIS out of many years in the technology world, mostly software, dealing a lot with different disruptions of older processes, mostly in the automotive world, and mostly recently as connected to connectivity in vehicle and the effect of it on dealerships and auto care. And in DIS, I am a product manager with orientation on the service side. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Udi. So a little bit about DIS. DIS has been in the equipment industry, serving customers since 1980. Currently, we have about 2,400 locations using our system. We are the leading provider of business software for the ag dealer, the lift truck dealer, and the construction dealers, and also to include truck refrigeration units across North America. So in today's session, what we're going to be talking about is, how you're going to reduce time to invoice from work order open to work order invoice. How do we maximize revenue? What's the point in which the dealership needs to look at to decide how do we really maximize the revenue on this each service work order that we're doing, whether it's a shop job or a service job? And most importantly, how do we deliver a better customer experience? Customer experience is something that's a hot topic in this industry as it relates to the service employee, the service department, and the service customer. So some of the things that we're going to be covering during the session is why shops are joining the digital movement. What's in it for me with them? Where do we start? What are some of the ways that we can optimize some of our current processes or even start to look at new processes for our service shops? And most importantly, how do we decide what technologies and what tool sets do we bring into our dealership to help facilitate optimization of our current processes, which then relates to how we take part in this digital transformation or digital movement? So really in this industry, the farm equipment dealership industry, service departments are moving away from the traditional pen and paper or even whiteboards. It's not uncommon for us to walk to a service dealership and look at what tools that current dealer is using in their service department. Whiteboards that are manually updated, pen and paper. We all have notepads on our desks and pens and papers. And really what we need to be talking about is what technologies exist currently that we may not be aware of, and how can we use that technology and leverage really that technology to grow our business and to get rid of some of those slow-moving processes that are old, less transparent, and really have a hard time for us, the service department. How do we win? Well, we win by taking advantage of new technologies and new tool sets. Okay, what is digital transformation? I'm sure in some of the emails that you may have gotten, or some of the other or even some of the conferences you may have attended, there's a lot of hype around digital transformation. Well, as you can see on the slide, there is a pretty brief description of what the meaning of digital transformation is. So really, digital transformation is really getting away from verbal agreements, handshakes, the constant distractions that currently exist in our work environment. You know, we go away from really the rotary phone to the smartphone. We start looking at how apps have changed how us as consumers, whether a business consumer or a non-business consumer, how we've managed our lives with these apps. We take a look at really what else has brought us a faster time to invoice, a faster time in our personal lives. So if we're all around this digital transformation, because we all have a pocket computer, how can we leverage that and bring that into our business? That's really what digital transformation means to me as this industry, as it relates to this industry. Okay. What is digital transformation? We just looked at a brief definition of digital transformation, but really digital transformation is about adopting a digital practice. As I mentioned earlier, what's out there? What replaces the whiteboard? What replaces the notebook? The sticky pad, the 3M sticky pad that we all have on our desk, the handwriting that's hard to understand what the person was trying to write. As they write down information that they're getting from the customers, we often use shorthand. We're not writing complete sentences, so it's harder for other coworkers to understand what was written. How do we share this information with service employees? And most importantly, with service customers? What's out there that we can leverage to help our business grow and take part of this digital transformation? So in the service department, it's no shock and it's no surprise that the largest revenue generator for the service department, the largest revenue generation comes from the service department. How do we maximize revenue per serial number for the life cycle of equipment? And it's no hidden secret that the machine is sold once, but it's serviced throughout its lifetime at the dealership service department. How do we capitalize on improving service productivity so we can therefore increase margins and increase service revenue?
Which also, John, just to add, makes the service department a real good target to start with converting processes to more digital, to more integrated, just because it's positioned to be the revenue generator.
Absolutely. Thank you, Udi. Okay, so we've highlighted 8 different points, and these are things worth considering when we talk about this cloud, this umbrella of digital transformation, and how we get started with our dealership. So really the first thing that I like to talk about is really the infrastructure at a dealership. Now, the infrastructure can relate to the internet bandwidth. You know, every device that we bring inside the dealership uses the internet. But if the internet is slow, that means I cannot transfer information at lightning speed from myself being the service technician to myself being the service employee to the service customer. So getting that infrastructure in place really increases the speed at which we deliver information to and from the customer. Mobile. We need to. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes on this one.
Yeah, no problem. I've been just spending much of my time in the last few years on the mobile side, and dealerships are moving away today from bulky desktop computers in favor of more portable devices such as laptops or tablet computers. The equipment owners, your customers, are also moving more mobile now that they had never done before. And having said that, it becomes important now to the dealership to recognize it and start matching the tools and the processes to be more mobile friendly because that's what the customer experience your customers might be looking. So it's one thing to start considering as you're thinking about digital transformation. Mobile apps are examples of using tools to rapidly connect both with the customers as well as with the service technicians. Service technicians might be in the field or might require to cross the whole shop that you have. And in the case of field equipment, that can be a large shop in order to get something done. So it makes sense to start looking into those mobile applications. Mobile, and another aspect might be mobile optimized websites. It's just another example if you want to think mobile to make sure that your customers now suddenly can access a website on any device of their choice, whether they want to consume it on their laptop or they want to consume it on their tablet. We see dealerships have gone or are going away from faxing, unless it becomes some kind of a law of the land. But if it's a choice, go away from all the faxing to texting, because it's just there isn't any other way that is faster to communicate with your customer or someone else today than to send them a text message. And the text message itself, to prepare it, it's a real fast thing to do and very efficient. Just to summarize the whole thing at the end, dealerships are basically, we see a motion away from kind of like central data entry activity of whatever the technician does or whatever the work order is, to now everything is more mobile, more distributed. One person entered it, it's digital. Now it's available everywhere in faster and more accurate overall.
Absolutely. Great points, Udi. So as we start looking at communications, we've talked about the infrastructure. We talked about the importance of having something that's mobile. We start looking at the communications. Now, it's no surprise that a lot of companies I've talked to that provide a survey component for dealerships, it seems like the number one complaint from the customer on the net promoter score or net loyalty score is there seems to be a lack of communication during the service repair time. Now, as consumers in every part of our life, it's the dentist, it's the doctor, it's the airlines, we're always getting that proactive communication. So how can the dealership take advantage of a more proactive, more digital transformation to better help their communications with the customers? Well, really, the first thing that the service department should do is start looking at how we schedule a walkthrough once, twice, 3 times a day. As we're doing a walkthrough at the shop, we're checking in with the techs at each bay and understanding, do we need to update the customer on the service repair of this machine? Or we realize that we've already updated the customer first thing this morning. Now, 5-6 hours later, there's no need to update the customer. So we go on to the next bay. And as we're talking to the field service technicians, we're asking them, how are you doing? What's the ETA look like? So we're getting the proactive communication from our service techs, both in the shop and in the field, and then we're translating that to the customer. And as Udi mentioned, mobile is a great application to send that communication out to your customers. Digital workflow. It's the computer versus the paper. Paper's been around since, gosh, I think right before the sun was invented, right? It's been around. It's something that we all fall back on as kind of our main tool at the dealership, paper of some sort. But what we need to start looking at is a digital workflow solution for the service department. Imagine you have a technician who's at the furthest bay. That technician has to stop, walk all the way into the service office, which means he's either being paid by the customer or by the dealership to stop, clean up, and walk to the service office. He's got a return trip he's got to schedule as well. So how do we give that technician the tools that he or she needs to send us information so we can fire off in a mobile format to the service customer? We need to increase their work efficiency and reduce the manual processes that they might be currently facing.
And just to add here, if you can improve the efficiency of the workflow, to think about it, you either have now the resources to do more work, or if you cannot get more work, then the flip side is now you can save and do more with less.
Absolutely. Digital timesheets. Udi, you and I had a conversation the other day about some of the things that you've experienced in this industry about digital timesheets. And one of the things you said is, John, digital timesheets reduce errors and time discrepancies. I thought that was very fitting, so I included that into this presentation. Warranty jobs is something you mentioned, Udi. Would you like to just take a minute and talk about the importance of a digital timesheet as it relates to warranty work orders?
Well, one of the things for the listeners that we experience is in the context of reporting the time is we see behaviors because it's not digital, because it's on a paper. We see a behavior of a technician being in the field, and he calls in to his service manager, say, "Can you time me? Can you put me for that time?" And it's very we see it happening. But if that happened, and if you happen to have an auditing on that, that is a high risk for that warranty job, because normally the manufacturers don't like this type of things, which can be allow for certain fudging of times or whatever. I don't think anybody is trying to doubt somebody else's honesty. It's just not the right process. Once you go with a digital timesheet, now it's being done at the time, at the clock, at the time, because if you add to it the mobile, and we'll talk about it a little bit again later when we talk about tools, but suddenly I don't have to run back to the office. I don't have to run back to my clock. I don't have to run to some computer to do that. It's just there.
So what you're telling me, Udi, is that there should be a way that I could clock into a job that's not coming from my memory. So I may not remember when I show up to the job. Did I start at 10 o'clock or did I arrive at 10 o'clock, or what was the time? So now I have to do the math and backtrack my schedule for that day, just so I can get the right time entered on that job work order for a warranty submittal on the work order.
Absolutely.
So we talk about monitoring, right? As it relates to a hospital, what does monitoring mean, right? They're monitoring all the patients. They should know where the patients are at any given time. Why? Because they have the tool set to do so. They've gone through that digital transformation. How does it look like for the service manager to monitor the techs and the workloads? I've seen instances where I've been on site where there's large whiteboards. There are Excel sheets. There are digital dashboards with whips. But the problem is those whips, those dashboards, those timesheets, those whiteboards, they don't show when a tech goes over the allotted job time that was scheduled. So having a digital solution means that I can take my phone with a mobile optimized website, as Udi mentioned, or a mobile app, as Udi also mentioned. I can take this and I can monitor what my techs are doing and understand how they're doing. Do I need to assign another tech to help that tech on a different segment? What do I need to do to increase that? And it's all about having a way or a tool to monitor all the time. Whether I'm talking to someone dropping off a machine in the yard, I can pull out and monitor. Okay, planning. So as Udi was talking about the time, managing what time is spent on what work order, monitoring which technician is working on which job, how do we look at a dynamic planning schedule? We plan our lives around a watch or a calendar. We should be able to manage and plan our workload around a digital transformative tool. And what I mean by this is that as a service employee, a solution for me looks like I've got visibility into 1 or more weeks at a time. I've got my technicians managed and scheduled. Just like your HR department probably has a way to manage and monitor and plan for vacation for any employee that takes vacation off. So having that as a service employee takes all the opportunity to set and schedule what technicians need to be working on which jobs. Also, as a service manager or service employee, I can take a look at and identify any openings in my schedule or in my plan to decide if we have room to take an incoming job or dispatch a technician out to a field job. I need to always be looking at a schedule for multi-week planning to ensure we have proper coverage in the event we're down a technician is required to work on a down machine, but it's about having that visibility into the current week and then multi-weeks after that. Direct messaging. Direct messaging is probably the most important tool your dealership needs to consider when understanding what the digital transformation looks like for this service equipment dealership. So how do we take advantage of a current tool, and what does it look like for our dealership? Now, we can go the route, which is we can update one customer in 5 minutes. And generally, it doesn't just take 5 minutes because there's some generalities discussed back and forth. But imagine we had a tool at the dealership that allowed us to update 5 customers in 1 minute versus 1 customer in 5 minutes. Imagine a world where our service employees aren't taking phone calls all day long, making calls going out all day long, dealing with the salesman who wants to know what's going on with the service work order, dealing with someone who's dropping off a piece of equipment or trying to pick a piece of equipment up, waiting for a technician to discuss some information with them. We need to take advantage of these digital tools that are becoming more and more popular in this industry. So, wow, I mean, we hit on 8 really important things to consider when we start looking at this big cloud of digital transformation. It's not easy to really pinpoint where to start with all these points that Udi and I talked about. But really, the most important thing is start with a single starting point. And that single starting point usually consists of an audit of a process, a tool, a software. And from there, we audit and understand how can we take advantage of the current tools that are being offered? How can we take that and replace this old kind of manual or maybe not fluid process? How do we take that and develop a plan based on the priority and the needs for our dealership?
So from here, if I could do half as well as John did, then this webinar would be very good. But I will try and take it from here a little bit with John's help to go through, if you plan on taking advantage of all these opportunities that John was talking about, what kind of solutions in what areas you might want to consider, and in what areas there are solutions that can help you optimize the service department, and maybe give a few tips to consider for each one of them. It seems surprising today as we talk about this digital enabling. But if you remember, the first iPhone hit the market only in 2007 or 2008. It seems like it was always there. It's so pervasive in our life. It's less than 15 years ago. If you think about 5th generation cellular, it's just now being released, but we think about cellular plans like we always paid for them. It's a rapid change. It's very pervasive. It's the way that we do things. And as these enablers are becoming and they are maturing, together with them, you should be able to find different solutions that can help transform a complex organization and operation like service departments or farm equipment dealerships. Next, what I'll do is I'll share some of those possibilities in some of those areas, and then that maybe will help you understand or chart some directions for your organizations. And I'll construct it by the different categories of tools, like what do we do for the technician? What can we do for the service office? What tools can help with the customers? Because all these principles contribute to overall a good operation in the service department. So let me just go through some of those areas. Some of them match the areas of to consider in the service when you do digital transformation. But let me just jump and go through them. The technician is the thing that jumps to your eyes right away, the first thing whenever we talk about digital transformation. Service technicians are one of the more significant challenges here. They might work in the shop. They might work in the field. They might have communication. They might not. They might work during the work hours, or they might work any other time of the day. And that creates a challenge for these technologies. Early generation of digital solutions are tools that run on laptops. It is not uncommon also for your dealership management system to include such a solution that you can look into. The downside of these solutions is that they are not what I call fast to operate, right? If it sits on a desktop somewhere in the shop, I need to walk to it. If it sits in my truck, I need to walk to it in order to do that. And if I need to walk to it, there is 5 things that I'm going to do along the way that are not related to that. They also might not be as mobile as you may think. For example, when you're out in the field or on the way to a destination, and you cannot get a Wi-Fi network to connect to, right? I've seen people trying to do hotspots from cell phones and things like that. A little bit downside of that approach. You could consider newer tools that actually run on cell phones or on tablets. These provide technicians with a way to access the work orders assigned to them on the device that they carry with them, and they can access those jobs at any time, kind of literally or sort of speak, right from their pocket, regardless if they are in the field or on top of a combine in the shop. Sales connection is often more robust than a Wi-Fi connection if you look at the overall coverage, right? It's very easy for a technician to run out of Wi-Fi coverage. It's a little bit more difficult to run out of, not impossible, but a little bit more difficult to run out of cellular connection. Always possible, right, for the technician. Well, I'll talk about that again a little bit later, for the one in the rural area, on the rural field, and here you go. Also, I think as dealership face hiring and retention of technicians, many are finding that elimination of paperwork and using advanced tools to increase efficiency becomes an evaluation criteria for those technicians. If you choose a solution, a tool along the lines of a cell phone tool or a tablet tool, it's something that gets points. Going to talk about the service office side, and let's talk the first opportunity. And there are multiple opportunities and multiple tools in the service office, but I'll start with the work order, managing the work order. It's not uncommon for farm equipment dealership to have 75 or 100 jobs to address in a single day, especially if the dealership, let's say, services also a small engine, for example. It is not uncommon also for shops to divide work orders into multiple jobs, either because of traceability on the financial side or because different expertise of technicians. Now, the service manager in the service office might face what might be hundreds of jobs that he needs to manage, right? This work order, job portion 1, job portion 2, might have 10 of those for each one of those. It takes a special service manager to stay in control without either losing some time or losing some opportunities or affecting the customer experience. I've seen some that are using paper tray methods and processes, move the paper between different trays, or using some whiteboards, potentially with some color-coded pins because they're easy to move around and to draw a paint on the board. But in those cases, it's an effort every time that I have a job that suddenly needs a new part, right? I have to go and rechange the whole thing. Every time that the parts come in, I have to go and change the whole thing. It takes time. It takes manage. Think about a job order. It was put on hold because it's missing a part or whatever other reason. The technician jumped into another job for a few hours. Most of the time, it takes time to manage those, and most of the time they are lag behind on being updated if the service manager actually is very orthodox on managing them. Some DMSs provide a solution which might fit your need also. When you select a tool, though, search for software that resolves this type of issues, as I mentioned, and mostly, and you'll hear it as a common maybe theme, specialize in service shops, not necessarily in other departments. What's good to be other departments like accounting. For example, we see some people trying to use Excel sheets, right? You can use that. That's at least you turned it into a digital form. But again, most of the issue of updating and handling that remain similar. Consider tools designed for equipment dealers. This tool will know to acquire all the work orders you generated. They will understand how to manage them through their life cycle in the equipment world, from, let's say, for example, a request to service to now I have a work order or a quote if I had to do it before, to actually a job once I assign the work order to the technician, and how fast can I invoice, the process that it goes through invoicing it once the job is completed. At the same time, I'll mention it here, you might also want to consider the technologies these solutions are riding on. Like, is it a cloud solution or is it on-premise type of a solution, and how the tool that you may select will integrate with your dealership management system. Planning and dispatching is probably another area where there are tools for you that you can use and improve on what you do. How often a technician comes to work and then he's waiting for the service manager that is now busy taking a call from a customer until he can get the paperwork printed out for him and take it out, or just learn which job do I need to do. Good planning should assure the work queue of a technician is always full in the right priority. It is not easy task to do in an environment where priorities change rapidly. Jobs need to be put on hold for multiple reasons, not to speak about the field technician that you dispatch to one location to do one job, but while he's there, suddenly there are a couple more jobs that need to be done at the same time, and the whole planning has to be shifted now and changed. Some service departments go back again, use wall system with some form of sticky notes to try and do that. And like before, those might get outdated minutes after they are created. It's not necessarily a very bad idea, but it might not be the most efficient or effective that is, or accurate that is out there. Some other dealerships are trying to adopt scheduling tools that were optimized to office workers, like, for example, Windows Outlook, to do this type of schedule. Again, when you select a tool in that area, it might be beneficial to consider a tool that was designed for service departments or for specifically for equipment dealerships. When you're looking for planning tools, also consider what planning methods are offered, if they fit the way that you work. Do you schedule today by date and time because you have quota job? Do you need just to build a list of jobs for the tech and just send him to do them by the priority that you select? Or do you prefer just to tell him, okay, these are the jobs that are assigned to you, just manage it yourself? Or maybe you want all the three because in different departments or in different locations, you have different behaviors. So that's something to look when you are looking into planning tools. Cannot complete the discussion of planning without planting in the issue of planned maintenance and tools to help with that. If you do not actually get into planned maintenance contracts with your customers or you do not track planned maintenance just for the opportunities for business, you might want to consider this type of tools to manage them. It's a form of guaranteed and recurring stream of work that takes place even without the equipment actually failing. And as John described before, it gives you the access to the equipment for the lifetime of that equipment. You get access to the revenues this equipment generates for the lifetime of it. In the last few years, it becomes even more needed, and customers are becoming more aware and willing to do it as the equipment becomes more sophisticated. Software is good at helping service departments stay on top of all the equipment, of all the customers, of all the different options for plane maintenance. And that can be a very large list of things to look at. If you're trying to do it today on any computer or without a tool, it can be fairly challenging. When looking for such a tool, consider tools that can help define what service should be performed. What service do I need? Can I classify it by the service? I need to do these oil change. I need to do these battery checks. I need to do these whatever services. At what intervals? Do I need to do them by the hour? Do I need by the hour meter? I mean, every 1,000 hours, every 5,000 hours, on 10,000 hours. Do I need to do it by odometer? Do I need to do it every 3 months? Every 6 months, every 9 months? Do I need to do any combination of those? And then notify you when the opportunity arises, just because the list is so long. And there are tools that can help with that. Today, even some of these tools will even convert opportunities to quotes and to work order for you as soon as it comes to be. Of course, more effective if you are on some contract with the customers, but they can also automatically notify the customer, hey, in 2 weeks, in 100 hours, you are now needing a planned maintenance. And at that time, a tech gets the notification and can go out there to perform it, right? So I think planned maintenance tools can be very beneficial in that space. John spoke about monitoring as an area for digital transformation. Put together computer and networking technologies, and what you get is a capability to share data in real time. And when you do that, now you can start monitoring what happens. Did you ever try to edit a document in a group using Microsoft tools? multiple people trying to edit the tool, to edit the document at the same time? If you did, you will be familiar with how each participant can see what each other participant or team member does on the document as they do it, right? We can all see it because suddenly we can monitor and see what goes. So as I discussed this example, just to say the technologies are here, they can help convert a shop operation, again, from the paper and the whiteboard, or relying on data that is not updated, into a real-time digital monitoring where you see what happens. You can monitor both the technician that is working on the job and the equipment. When we talk about the equipment, you probably heard about that multiple times, and probably many of you from your OEMs, what we call telematics, that sends you the status of the equipment in real time, and you can drive business out of that. Here, I want to focus more on the technician on the job, right? If you have the right monitoring tool, if that's what you're looking for, the team at the service office can now see the exact activity the technician is clocking on right now without stepping out of the office. They can know right now, did the tech receive the change that we did for the priorities? Did he receive the work order that was dispatched to him? Is this current job about to run off? Should I do something to so we don't miss delivery time commitment if there is one on them? Does the tech need help? Can I provide some help to make sure that we're finishing what's planned for the day, right? All this stuff you can see. If you can see it in real time, you can react to that at the same time. So that's another area where this digital transformation and the tools that do that can be very valuable to the service department. And I'll touch here again on the timesheet, because once you're going mobile and you have mobile computers that are all networked, just eliminating the paper timesheet or the central time clock, these are the current solution, is again very valuable. Here again, you can look into your digital management systems, because many of them do offer some solutions that let techs punch in or punch out and create digital timesheets. So at least you get the digital form of it and you don't get the paper form of it, which is really hard for the technician to update as they go, right? They have to run to the piece of paper, they have to clean the hands, they have to find the pencil and write it. And the end result of it is we're doing a lot of it out of memory as an afterthought in many cases. You do have tools that are more accessible, especially if they are mobile, right? And especially if they are available on a cell phone. And the nice thing about tools like that for you to consider, you may consider those tools that develop timesheet as the technician processes actually the job. As he says, okay, now I am driving to a location, now I'm getting to the place, now I'm working, now I'm getting a signature. At that time, as he does that, the tool can generate the timesheet for you. The technician never has to access or never has to control the timesheet, assuring that you get a true timesheet and very accurate. Make sure tools that you review cover productive and non-productive times. Make sure they generate the digital timesheet, preferably automatically. Then you can go and you can edit later, but the baseline is there as the job is being completed, and you can see the timesheet as it's being developed if you apply also monitoring tools to it. Check if the tool, don't forget to check if the tool allows also feeding the timesheet into the payroll software you use with no manual data entry, just goes in. For the next slide about texting and about tools like that, I will pass here the baton to John, just because I don't think we have too many more people that are more expert than him to talk about that topic.
Yep. Thanks, Udi. So text messages, you'll see different ratios across the internet, but text messages really are the number one preferred communication of most businesses and most consumers. So B2B or B2C, everyone relies on this pocket computer that they have on their phone. Why? It's because I can read a text message without the sender knowing if I've read it, without the sender knowing when I'm going to respond to it. When I check email, I get burdened by the thought of, well, I have to sit down at a desk. I've got to compose this long form response to this email, and then I have to click send. It's just not fluid. If I'm a service customer, I'm more mobile now in my field with my business. I'm more mobile now than I've ever had to be with digital transformation. I've adopted this. Why hasn't the dealership adopted this? So leverage the speed of text messages. Use the push proactive of automatic updates. And in return, you're going to get happier customers and you're going to provide a better customer experience.
Thank you, John. And as John, as John is already talking about customers, and as we're talking about customer, this transformation applies also not just to the messaging and texting and how do you communicate, but also for how you manage the aspect of the customer support of your business. Customer portals enable newer methods that empower the customers to self-service, allow them to access what they need from anywhere at any time on their own time and on their own device, the device that they prefer to use. Of course, when they do that, that comes off of your plate and what you need to do. These solutions, different portals, are becoming more commonly offered also by different OEMs that you might be working with and you might experience. Customers do not need to call to ask for a copy of an invoice or a statement. They retrieve it when they need it. They do not need to call and ask for service. They direct message what they need straight from their portal, and they say what is the need, and avoid playing the phone tag. They pay online, saving a trip to the dealership on their side and increasing the speed for payment for your side. They see the status of their job and the plan, and they can plan their day. All in all, these tools, these portals, can save the dealership time and money. If you wish to adopt a portal tool, consider also the features it might offer for authentication and access permissions. You don't want to get into a situation when one customer can see the data of another. Ask yourself how the tool can help you know what the customers are doing on that portal. What are they using it? What are they doing? Ask how their requests are captured when they request a service or when they just want to send a direct message to complain. And how easy it is to respond to them without losing any of them. Not like a voicemail and then I never got to it, right? Just make sure that it doesn't get into a message, drops in the bottom of the line and disappears. In summary, these are just few of examples of areas and tool types that might help deliver the benefits of digital transformation and some of the things to consider when you're looking into them. Whatever approach a dealership might select or whatever tools a dealership might go with, it's also worthwhile, I think, to consider the three items that are on this slide. One of them is the compatibility with the end-to-end. You might decide, or you might elect, as John said, to go small and go with one of those features, not everything. Keep in mind, just keep it in mind that you can apply it on the end-to-end process. And when you choose the tools, choose them such that you don't find yourself one day necessarily with a plurality of tools, and now you have to manage all this stuff. That can turn to be an effort. Or if you afterwards have to change, that also becomes a pain to your users at the dealership because now you need to change. So think about the end-to-end side. The other side is the integrated. You could see, as I went through the different areas and the different tools, I'm sure that you can feel and you could see what happens if they start working together. Can they all get to work together? Software tools often deliver the best value when they're all integrated. I do one thing, or I create an element of data in one of them, and it's instantly available to the other. I send a text message from one place, and immediately the other guy knows that that was sent, right? This type of thing, consider those. It doesn't mean that you have to have the fully integrated solution up front, but it does mean that think about as you grow, right? You would like to have them integrated, and integration projects between different tools are often expensive to do, and also expensive to maintain, limiting the benefits of the effort and the investment. The last point to bring up, to think in general, is how you handle the whole side of the online and the offline. Spoke about it a little bit, but it's not uncommon, especially in this industry of farm equipment, for example, a technician to find themselves in the most rural field, as I said before, in the most rural area, as I said before, on the most rural field. And that's what the emergency is. That's where the combine that failed stands, and gotta go and help get it running again. And there's no communication. And you cannot afford, if you are doing the digital transformation and you want to get all these benefits, not to have or to revert back to a piece of paper. Let me write it all on a piece of paper, because that's not going to happen. And then it all comes to be an issue of memory, which is going to be completed a few days later. And then you are at all the other risks that we discussed. So it's another issue to think if, as you build those solutions, make sure, or as you look for the tools, make sure that the overall approach is going to be resilient to that kind of conditions.
Yeah, Udi, I'll add just a couple things to that final point that in summary is really from a dealership perspective, trying to understand what's in it for me and what is my position in the dealership. Am I getting employee buy-in? Because digital transformation is hard. If we're going away from the two most important things that everyone has on their desks, if we're going away from this, we should talk to those workers that this transformation is going to be, they're going to be affected by this. Let's bring them in. Let's start the discussion early. The second thing is, when you're looking for these solution providers, there's a difference between buying from a vendor versus buying from a partner. The vendor is going to sell you stuff and then they're going to put you on the shelf. A partner is going to walk in your shoes and really be there when the times are hard and really show you how to use the software. And then finally, the third thing is the acronym KISS. Keep it service simple. We don't have to overthink things. We just have to go with simplicity at most times.
Yes, and to that, I will just add another story on my side and I'll be done. But sometimes we hear from service departments, oh, my techs will never go for it. And then it becomes, this one is an older guy, this is not used to technology. And, you know, I keep hearing these stories, and I go out to even, you know, less technology-oriented people, show them the cell phone. They all have cell phones, regardless of how technology savvy they are. Show them something on a cell phone, tell them, okay, that's how you're going to do it. Is that simple? Whether they like the technology or not, initially they say, oh, no, I don't want to have technology. But quite often they will say, oh, that's really simple. That's really simple. So think about that also. Anything else to add, John?
That's it. I'm ready for questions.
We have 5 more minutes, so I think we are on time to go to questions if there are any.
Yes, we do. We've got one question for sure, and we'll see if we've got time for anything after that. This question kind of ties nicely into how you were wrapping things up, Udi. The individual said, it seems pretty straightforward and logical. Where's the obstacle and what's the, rock in the middle of the road that dealers need to overcome to move the service department forward? What needs to be managed in this new environment?
I can start adding a little bit from my perspective, John, and maybe you can follow me, because I'm sure that each one of us has a set of experiences in that area. I think the rock in the middle of the road goes in. I can see a couple of them. One of them is, we alluded to it, and that is if you try to chew too much too fast, right? Try and take it, try and understand what is the process to change, and try to take it into stride. Doesn't mean that it has to be snail speed, but not to shock the whole organization going forward. And the other side of it is, one of the obstacle is the natural resistance to something that is different. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but for myself, a few years ago, we came and we said, oh, now we're going to do computer-aided design. We're going to design everything on the computer. And the people that were drawing the designs on paper, just couldn't get it. It was more difficult. It was more difficult to do it initially. And that's what happens with a change, right? It became a little bit more difficult to draw on the computer all these circles and all these lines. But then when I needed to do a change, right? Last minute change that is going to cost me $2 million to do, if I had to do it on the paper, meant, go back and write the whole thing again. On the computer was 2 seconds and the change was done. The machine started working. It's the same situation here. You may expect some resistance. It may seem to be a little bit more difficult at the beginning, but the benefit the benefits are there, and it becomes much more simpler. So another recommendation will be keep assessing the benefits, not just the challenges.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, Udi, is grab the stakeholders, the people that this is going to impact the most, grab them and start bringing in and start identifying, as we talked about doing an audit, identify that process and why it's going to be beneficial for them, so they can understand the what's in it for me, or from their point of view, what's in it for them.
All right. And then we have someone who's interested in learning more about software like this that DIS likely offers. Can you point them kind of in the direction of how they can reach out to you guys for more information, or if there's, a website or whatever that they should look at to find out more?
Yeah, you can go to our website at discorp.com. So discorp.com. You can contact us into either support@dis.com if that's the orientation of the question, or you can access us at sales@dis.com.
Corp, Udi, DIS Corp.
DIS Corp. I'm sorry, always DIS Corp.
Oh, yes.
.com. In those two cases, you can access us, or you can just search on the web by some of those main areas and main words that we shared here to find what solutions are available to you. Or if you want a more detailed answer to, what are the all tools, and can you give me some comparison, right? What's your opinion compared one to the other? We can help you with that also.
Absolutely.
And John and Udi, I will send you the individuals' information as well, so that you guys can touch base.
Awesome. And we will reach out. We will reach out immediately.
All right. All right. Well, with that, that is all the time we have for today. We got right to our hour mark. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's webinar. Just a reminder that the presentation and audio will be available on the Farm Equipment website in case you want to go back and review it, or have anyone else at the dealership watch it as well. Keep an eye on your email and the Farm Equipment newsletter for more info on that. And on behalf of John, Udi, the DIS team, and the Farm Equipment staff, thank you again for joining us. Feel free to reach out to me if there's any topics you'd like us to cover in future webinars. And thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.